He wore black denim trousers and motorcycle boots and a black leather jacket with an eagle on the back. He had a hopped-up sickle that took off like a gun. That fool was the terror of Highway 101.
Hey, this is Mark Jimenez. I'm Matt. That's Ben.
Hello.
That's Ben. That's Aaron. And that was a deep inside joke that you started the show with.
It goes back almost a week.
Almost a week. Yeah.
Almost a week.
I was going to save this for the end of the show, but might as well. We listened to that song on the way to...
You pronounce it Leviathan or Leviathan?
Stop. You're not allowed to carry things over. We can do a vote afterwards.
Twitter vote.
But before we get to our guests and everything, just very quickly plug. So last week we went on the YGLTON. That's their Twitter, but it's the You're Gonna Love This or Not podcast.
That's good spelling. I'm proud of you.
And that's where that song came from. Ben, you found it on like stock music or something, right?
Well, it's a long story.
Okay. Either way.
Well, you know what some say is a never-ending story.
Every July, Ben cooks up some kind of new music for us to listen to.
We know of a remote farm in Lincolnshire.
So
where Mrs. Buckley lives. Every July, peas grow there.
Stop. You've now brought two things from before the show.
That was my fault, sorry.
Look at Kevin. He's just going to walk out.
Do you really
at
mean
this
that?
point?
Rage quit.
He's just going to leave. No, so I think...
He wore black.
I can't work like this.
The episode for you, You're Going to Love This or Not, recorded Matt and Josh and Mike and Tony were super nice to have us. We watched Tammy and the T-Rex. I think the episode goes up tomorrow.
Super good.
Definitely go follow and you'll be able to hear that.
Tammy goes there.
But that's not why we're here. We need to move on. Kevin Jordan is our guest tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming, Kevin.
Hello.
A little story about Kevin.
He wore black denim trousers.
Yes, that's the entrance.
Turn around. I want to see the eagle on your back.
Yeah.
I took off my pants when I got here.
So, Kevin, I worked with your wife Tiffany for a really long time, and she, was a big fan of our podcast. As you were, she used to say that you guys would watch our show and stuff.
And we lost viewerships with her, and now we got you back on to get her back.
Right.
She was our only person that watched.
I listened to the podcast.
You listen.
I listened to the podcast.
That's how you endeared yourself to me, because I'm the one putting the audio form up.
True.
Doing the real work.
There's nothing wrong with listening to the audio podcast, but if you're missing out on the video stream, there's part of it that you're not getting.
You're really missing out on the video.
There's a good portion of it that I'm missing. I've seen a few of these, but most of them I do. I actually listen.
But whatever floats your boat.
Did a shot in the dark to see, Kevin, if you wanted to come on for this episode. And NeverEnding Story is what we're continuing our 80s fantasy theme for this month. And normally I will start this up, and we can go around, Aaron, Ben too, but Kevin specifically, you mentioned that you hadn't seen this movie in a while, but did you have, especially with these 80s movies, did you grow up with this movie at all? Was it a part of your childhood, or what? Is it just kind of, you saw it and then it wasn't really a major part of it?
So it was, I got a pretty good movie memory. So it's like one of these Aesop's fables, like something that you hear when you're a kid. And it's memorable because it's bite-sized for children, right? That's sort of its target audience, but it's deep enough, like Aesop's fables, like these old German stories, right? Where as you grow, you get to dig deeper into the meaning, and it becomes more meaningful to you in different ways for different reasons.
Yeah,
that's a very good point.
It's I got a lot of the symbolism from it that I didn't get at the time, but that was stuck, and I accessed later when it became relevant to me, different points in my life. And I went about 20 years without seeing it. I mean, I can remember quite a bit of it, but before, like when you got a hold of me, what I did is I got open a book and I just wrote down all the things that I remembered, all the specific scenes,
love notes,
parts where I cried,
big fan.
And I went back and I watched it, fell asleep in the middle, finished it just a little bit ago.
Outside while you're waiting
sucks
for
being
us.
a grown up,
Yeah.
right? I got a job and kids, and but I love being a grown up, but it's hard finding time to do cool stuff. But I sat down and I watched the rest of this thing, and
he's still trying to find.
I'm in love with this movie.
Some cool stuff to do by not going on this podcast.
Yeah, he's still
This is
looking.
cool stuff.
Do you guys have suggestions?
I agreed to come on as long as Matt would agree to do a Mary-Kate and Ashley movie with my wife.
No, okay. I was hoping to avoid that.
God.
We'll talk
Hey,
about
can
that.
I produce that? I want to be
later.
there for that.
Yes, this is a equivalent exchange. So, Aaron, Ben, I
Which
think
one?
you have a different perspective. Aaron, I think you and I are more similar, and at least based on what I remember last week. I saw this when I was very little. Remember kind of just Falkor. That was really all I remembered before this. When I rewatched it. What about, did you have like a deeper connection to this movie at all?
This movie was on the same footing as Willow. I saw it barely when I was unable to form memories.
Okay.
So,
and Ben, you said saw it a lot.
I saw it when I was very little, and it left a strong impression on me when I was little. The thing that I remember the most was the giant turtle thing.
Oh yeah.
That thing was like such a
same here too.
Creepy thing that I kind of liked, and the freak out moment when they hear his voice, like that. And like they just mention it, like they just look around. But I enjoyed it, and I've even seen the sequels. NeverEnding Story 2.
There's like 3, right?
Yeah,
2 or 3.
There are 2 sequels.
The second one's not very good.
Animated series.
Whoa.
The second one's got there's some good ideas. It just was a little late for it. But it has the Flash, whatever the original Flash, as the dad in it. But it wasn't as good. But
how do they just go back to the world? Like
he goes back to Fantasia.
Like there's a sequel to the book.
Yeah,
and
he goes back to the Fantasia.
Okay.
I thought the second book didn't that have a different kid in it?
It's a different kid, but it's supposed to be the same.
The
kid.
NeverEnding Story had 2 towers.
He's blonde in a puff vest.
Yeah,
right.
And he's a little whinier.
Yeah,
but
My
as
kind
an
of
adult,
story.
So as a kid, I enjoyed it. I thought, whatever. But as an adult, I got more out of it.
Yeah. So.
Especially recently.
It's a pretty, what's a concise, because I imagine a lot of people who would be listening or watching to this would kind of be in the same boat as us. Like, I watched that 15, 20 years ago. I don't remember it super. Like, the concise version of this whole movie is kid reads a book after his mom died.
Actually,
he's
the book reads him.
Bullied, and then, yeah.
In Russia, the book reads you.
They make a meta analysis. The childlike princess or empress says, as you are watching us in our world, someone's watching you in your world. So we, as the audience, are watching him.
And their name is CIA.
So, no, but I mean, it's a very interesting idea.
Yeah.
Maybe someone's watching us in our story. Pretty boring story, but
you kind of see like a, it's almost taking the fantasy hero.
Maybe we just live in marbles.
Taking the fantasy
Men in Black.
Yeah.
It's taking like the fantasy hero journey thing that we've seen in a lot of these previous movies, but then it's like adding another layer on top of it of somebody consuming it and things going back and forth.
It's different. It's not the hero's journey. It's not
for the kid, for the Atreyu. It is, I would say.
No, because
it doesn't have all the stops.
He fails in the long run. What this movie's about to me, I mean, I'm sure you guys got it, is depression. It tackles depression, and the nothing is depression. Even the wolf says.
Even I got that.
You know what I mean? And it's like it's interesting. It's very interesting. I never got that as a kid.
Wouldn't it have been better to have the dad be the one who was all depressed, and have that be affecting the life around him?
I got a whole thing about that.
I guess that's in the book.
Is it?
I guess in the book the dad is more depressed.
Do you know that? So I only recently figured out that there was a book, and it was made. It was written and published just a few years before the movie. I don't know how the book differs from the movie. Do you know how the book differs from the movies?
I don't. I didn't have time to.
I have
to look, but I know that
I have theories. I don't know, but I didn't read the book.
We can speculate wildly.
It's definitely rich. This definitely has a rich source material.
Oh, for sure. So the dad, though,
right. Well, my interpretation of this movie in particular it was the first movie for me that had deep symbolism, right? Mm-hmm. That one of the rules about Aesop's fables are that they're tight and concise, right? And so nothing is in there by accident, right? There's blood on the cutting room floor. You have to cut out everything that's not vital to the story. And my theory is that this is a German author written, like that's Grimm's fairy tales, and that's where all this stuff happened. Hansel and Gretel and the Red Riding Hood, all that stuff that comes from Germany. There's always a mountain and the woods and
some candy,
some wolf somewhere and candy
some
and a hare, out there,
right? Peddling.
So
and filing.
Way to go.
So as a grown-up, I'm watching this movie and nothing's in there by accident, and so that's sort of informed the way that I watch it. And the nothing I didn't see as depression. It's the nothing, which is consistent throughout the entire movie.
Like adulthood or something.
Well, it's so the subtitle for this movie for me, The NeverEnding Story, I would say is the journey inward. right? So it's a journey. The childlike empress says that he's reading his own story about himself.
Your never-ending
Right.
story.
Right. It's
At one point,
it's the
there's a
story-
gate that's literally you confront the
Yes,
mirror of
right.
yourself.
So,
right?
yeah, so I actually do think the nothing is depression, and they even show a little bit of depression with the horse getting in all the stages of grief.
It's quite explicit, I would say.
But
Well,
but then- but then-
sadness. It's like sadness will just succumb you.
And
That was the swamp, though, specifically.
Yeah, but the nothing comes you. 'Cause think about it. I didn't get this until I was really depressed, and I was really depressed a few years ago, like really bad. And I never thought I would be that way. And someone who's and I'm still trying to get out of it. Like this is for real. Like depression is a real thing. And when you feel depressed, you feel nothing. Mm-hmm. You feel numb. And so to me, that is nothing. And it's taking away you, eating at you. You know what I mean? And it feels like there's no hope.
Well, and I think that's what...
Until you give the childlike empress a name.
So,
but
Aaron, it sounds like you're kind of agreeing it's more aligned with the depression side of things.
I'll bet you
this nothing?
$1,000 if we had the author in here, that's what he would say.
So to me, what I think is so great about it is that I think it's all of the answers are kind of right. Like it is very
Or at
much,
least they're not wrong.
which I think is pretty cool about somebody consuming this as a movie is that you can ascribe, because it's nothing. It's such a void term. Like it just takes over everything. That
it's pretty smart.
which I think I think it's great. You called out these, like, it's a German fairy tale. Like there's so much in here that's so real and like really dark at times. Like the horse dies in the first 20 minutes of the movie.
There's a lot of meaningful
like,
things that happen. It's not like you said, surface.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
like Willow's kind of surface. Like Willow's a surface movie. I enjoy it. Like there's really nothing deep, about Willow.
It's universally applicable.
Yeah.
right?
Whereas this goes into the psyche.
Because I read this, and maybe I'm paraphrasing the wolf, who basically, which is kind of cool that all of the creatures talk. This crazy wolf just
Do you know what's
starts
interesting?
talking.
I just found out just now. He's Falkor.
Yeah, it's
the rock,
the same
it's the
guy for like
voice.
4 of the monsters.
Yeah, the rock monster.
But he basically, the wolf that's been, I guess, helping the nothing advance through Fantasia, because whoever controls the nothing just controls stuff.
The wolf
I guess.
represents pharmaceutical companies.
I thought
He's
the
the
wolf was the environment. Okay.
Yeah. But the wolf basically is like, when the nothing takes over, it eliminates imagination and hope and having dreams and stuff. And just that is something that applies for kids and adults. Like that, to your point, like when you watch it when you're a kid, you have one understanding, and then it has a different meaning when you get older.
So we talked about the dad at the beginning, where I actually think he's not coping. You mean he's not coping at all? He doesn't know how to cope.
Because he even says, like, we just got to move on.
Yeah, I think he's
No excuse to get the old job done.
and I think we talk about bad exposition. Very good exposition at the very beginning. You realize it wasn't even that long. It gives a setup of their circumstances, but I think it worked. There was a sense of realism with that. You know what I mean? I think some people complain about the Sebastian kid not being a good actor. I thought he was great. I thought the acting was pretty good with him. Like he's carrying the movie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was believable.
I'd have rewritten that dead scene.
I think so, but I still think it was done in earnest.
Right.
I think the biggest miss for me in the movie was I kind of wished when they hit that mirror, because I loved it. Had a lot of like, wow, I wish The Last Jedi did it like this. Like it had like a much more deeper impact. But I kind of wished that's when Bastian got into the story. Like he literally switched places, and then it progressed. I think they did some really good stuff the way they handled it, but that was the moment where I thought this could have, like, we'll get to ratings at the end, but this could have been like a much higher movie.
That was
for
the
me.
second time he realized wait a minute.
He's affecting the story.
He's affecting the
Right,
story.
that's true. Yeah,
I think
they hadn't set it up enough.
And also, I think
before.
there's stuff we're
Gone
missed.
too
There's
far.
they're missing on the cutting room floor that we missed. But also, I realized that Falkor is kind of creepy when little boys sleep with him.
That it's like an adult man
Wouldn't that
voice.
creepy? It's like you talk in your
scratch my ear.
Can anybody clip that?
you talk in your sleep.
He winked at him.
Yeah, but geez, Falkor.
Well, that's all the puppet can do.
Yeah.
It's like
They spent a lot of
Yeah.
time on the tongue, the robotics of the
He's like-
tongue.
I think the voice actor actually was Kevin Spacey.
When you were talking about his dad, the Fantasia character that I'm looking at Fantasia as this is Bastian's story. There's nothing in there that's not that's all coming from him, right? It's not collective. Is the way that I view the movie. And I see his dad as the rock biter, and I would have rewritten that kitchen scene where he doesn't actually help his son do anything. He like opens the jelly and takes it away from him.
Yeah.
And he's not helping him make his lunch or anything, get to school on time.
Yeah.
That you're right, he's not coping. But I would have written that dad character as as like a veiled. He's tortured, but he doesn't want to like.
He's more numb.
He's trying to keep it away from his son.
He's numb.
Right. But I would have made it like he's numb, but like there's nothing else there.
Trying
And
to
later
shelter
on,
him.
that rock biter is looking at his hands. They look like big, strong, good hands. I always thought that's what they were, but I could like. That's his wife slipping
That's
away.
a very
right?
good.
I couldn't save him. Like that's Bastian's view of his father.
That's a very
That's
good
how
point.
boys view their
I
father.
bet you.
right?
I want to get the book now. I kind of want to get the book and listen to it.
I'm betting. I don't know, but I'm betting that's
Sounds amazing book.
that's how they.
You know.
Yeah.
According to my research, the author hated the movie so much that he requested his name be taken off.
And he
of
tried
it.
to sue too.
oh wow,
But I mean, it's movies. I mean, like that's
Right.
always going to happen.
sure.
In the sequel, I know that there's more of him and his dad relationship at the very beginning.
His dad actually goes to chase him down. Right. I saw the sequel once, like 15 years
Yeah,
ago.
I haven't
right?
seen it for years.
But his dad's
they
like
explore-
trying to find him,
They explore it more.
and he
Like they have an argument at the beginning.
his dad reads the book, right?
I think so, and he
And reads
realizes
about
he
his son in the
realizes in
book.
it, and
Right.
he realizes his son's in the book.
I'd be
Something about buffaloes?
I'd be curious, Aaron, what you think, because there are some. When I think about our understanding of Mother as a group, I know it's a podcast, and how you drew Ham and Fist, I would say from a storytelling standpoint, there's a couple things they leave kind of under the surface, which we can talk about in a minute. I think the parallels to his parents and what he's going through is part of that, but then they really kind of like the wolf literally explains what is the meaning here at one point. There's a couple moments it's like it's very like this is what this is about. How did you feel about that side of it? Because I know like leaving it to our imagination to figure it out for ourselves is something we very much value.
I always appreciate when directors put stock in our brain power and let us figure it out. Like we were talking about the ending of Joker the other day, and how we probably would have changed a couple of things ourselves, but it still doesn't ruin it. And in this case, I think it's the same.
Well, I think also you can look at your audience too. You know
If
what I
your
mean?
audience is full of idiots,
Well, this is a film. This is a story for everybody, and
including idiots.
kids.
Kids are idiots.
Kids are stupid.
Let's get that out of the way. I haven't grown out of being stupid, so
Aren't we all?
No, it's
Are
true.
we all?
We
When you
are
really
pretty-
get down
we are
to
pretty down. I don't think they spoon fed it though.
not to the degree
think they
that
did.
Mother
No, but I
did,
think
no.
it was.
I don't
I
think
think
so.
it was done in a very like the destroyer is the one telling you this, which was interesting, you know. And what a great setup. He goes
Right.
to these. He sees all the
cave
pictures.
painting?
And
Isn't that
oh,
fantastic?
And then he sees that, and it's right there. Like that's such a good story device.
A more pointed answer to your question, Matt. I did not feel insulted by the explanation.
Okay.
I thought it was okay.
Because
And it wasn't. It was still. It wasn't. It was still up to you a little bit.
And
you know.
Atreyu was paying attention. He really like that. The Noah, what's his face?
Noah something.
Right when he's talking, like he wants. Who are you really? Right. He's invested in knowing, and that scene right after that is phenomenal. Like he's got a rock knife right beside him. Just happens to be right. But I love. One thing that really gets me in my heart every time I see it, and I just love it, is like the defiant hero with overwhelming odds.
Yeah,
right?
he's like, screw it, we're gonna die anyway.
Right, is
Like,
Captain Jack Sparrow with the
The Kraken.
not the Leviathan, but the
It's the Leviathan.
with the Kraken, right, or the 300 or Rain of Fire when he's getting the dragon.
They did call it the Leviathan. They did call it.
But like him, come at
They
me,
call it
bro.
Davy Jones.
Just
Yeah. It's like
come at me, Gamort.
this is Sparta. Or,
Like,
you know,
if
like
we're gonna
this-
die anyway, I'd rather die
Yeah.
fighting. I'm like, hell, you should. Yeah, let's
Yes.
get it on, man.
It's like, well, he's a true hero.
There are
Right.
so many like air fist pump
get him.
moments in this
Get
movie. It's awesome. Like,
Well,
where you're cheering,
Yes.
you're Bastion. You're
Yes.
screaming right in your
Yeah.
house.
also, in the story alone, just character-wise, creatures that they created, all the it's definitely its own identity. It's not. Oh, that guy looks like Lord of the Rings.
It's not Henson either.
Yeah,
It's
it's his
not-
own thing. Now, the puppet, if they probably would have Henson, it would probably be more articulate, better puppets.
I would have
But-
wanted that.
the mouth for
this is,
Falkor
this
was
is an
pretty
expensive
bad.
movie.
Yeah.
This is a very expensive movie.
I heard it was the most expensive movie outside the U.S. at the time.
Yeah.
right today.
Yeah.
The U.S. and Russia.
Yeah.
Russia had.
I went to Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Well, I think what I liked so much about this is it they did their due diligence with the world building, and they had these very different scenes,
It's very unique.
but they didn't. Sometimes in these fantasy movies we've been doing, it's almost like the breadth of the characters is kind of what they're going for. Like, look how many things we're gonna do. In this case, they really had the one scene at the start with the like kind of call to adventure where they had the guys with the huge heads,
Literally
and
a call to
the
adventure.
the two-faced people where they kind of showed off a little bit in that room, but everything else was really like Atreyu interacting with one thing at a time, which I really appreciate. It let you because I felt that way with Labyrinth too. There were a couple moments where it's like, here's the one thing she's interacting with at a time, and in this, it's like, oh, this is the scene with the turtle, or this is the scene with
Morla or the
Falkor,
Sphinx,
or the Sphinx, or the little gnome guys.
They're like book chapters.
Yeah, which
Right.
I think lets you kind of like, exactly, it lets you appreciate each thing as its own kind of quest, even, because each thing was symbolic of progression of understanding of like what it means to grow up, or understanding yourself, or overcoming something. So I liked how they
overcoming grief.
segmented it that way. So
Yeah, it's interesting.
anyway,
It's definitely got its own unique look to it. But I think there was probably more that they cut out. Now, the one thing that, even though I kind of liked the music, it reminded me of Goonies, like the main theme, that they had, like like the mystery theme.
Ah, yes.
Strings and flutes.
It didn't. There was it just stopped all of a sudden, like in between. It wasn't mixed very well. The music.
I noticed that in a lot of cuts of the movie,
Yeah.
where the music would fade out for an uncomfortably long amount of time.
It seemed like they just wrote one little piece that they try to use over and over.
Okay, we gotta stretch this out, guys.
Yeah. The music was the weakest part, even though I liked some of
I
it.
thought the soundtrack was pretty okay.
Yeah, I like the music, but I think it was the weakest part.
Don't talk that way about Giorgio.
what did you guys think of? Sorry, I just saw that I wrote down Evil Dead first person with the dart with the wolf shots a couple times. I was moving around. What did you think of the payoff with it when it came to, like his mom? Like I from the very start, I was like, oh, the Empress is an analog for his mom, and like he's got to figure out how to cope with losing this person and come to terms with it. And I'll just leave it there and ask you how you guys felt
Everybody
about it.
has to cope with depression in their own way. Maybe the dad's own way was to be grounded and keep feet on the ground. For me, for him, when you're not, when you are depressed, you're not creative. You're not all these different things, and the only way to combat it for him was to be creative, to have your imagination. And I think that's probably the strongest tool, probably to overcome it. You know what I mean?
So if you're ever feeling blue, name something.
Well,
Just shout Moonchild through a window.
yeah. But who would name their kid Moonchild?
Grandpa
Were they
Frank
hippies?
Zappa?
That's not, I was about to make the Frank Zappa joke. Gosh darn it.
But I
I
think,
almost swore. 16 and up.
Moonchild.
I think it was, for me, it wasn't the name that got, it was a memory. Her memory lives on. You can't close her out because you still love them. You never really can let go of the grief fully, but you also have to
Put it in its place.
put it in its place,
Put it on the shelf.
but also be creative and be imaginative.
Aaron, Kevin.
you're gonna have to. I go down the rabbit hole on symbolism. I love movies like this. So if you could pick
let's go.
safe words, woodchuck, right? So if we're getting too far down the hole, just throw a woodchuck at me.
I don't have a woodchuck
I'm going to
sound
shout
effect.
Moonchild regardless, but I'll work in
Moonchild. Okay,
Yeah.
safe words, Moonchild. So I'm reading this movie, and it's to me, it's a quest inward to Bastion. He's a kid. He's an object. He's not an agent. He has no effect over his world. Everything's happening to him, which is why he runs away. He runs away from the swim team. He runs away from going on his horseback riding lessons that his dad's talking about. He runs away from his math test.
Everything. Yep.
And then he goes and isolates himself. This whole movie is a gradual isolation inward, right? From his world to his home to his school. The school leaves. And then we even get tighter and tighter and tighter as he's in the attic, right? As the lights go down and as things get closer and as he gets more and more afraid, the storm
Except for that
comes
one
in.
wide shot.
Right? There's
don't talk about that
anachronisms,
one.
right? There's anachronisms. We go back and forth. The storm leaves and comes back. When you go back and watch it,
I'm giving you a hard
but
time.
I was a little confused by
It's
that.
this journey. It's this journey inward, right? So he is Atreyu, right? Atreyu is the hero in himself that he wants to be, and so Atreyu goes and digs up the bones of his ancestors to talk to them for help, and that's Morla. Morla's giving him the word. But there's the living dead are apathetic because they have no investment or sacrifice in the future. So he gives him just a word and sends him on his way. And there's this word of luck. You never give up, and good luck will find you, and that's Falkor. And then he gets a little bit of help, and he moves forward, and he has to understand that he has value and he has worth. That's getting past the sphinxes,
self-confidence and
with
everything.
the giant, right? So that's getting past the sphinxes, and then he has to come to terms with how his ideal self would view him, right? And that's why people generally run away screaming, right? When the picture of who they'd like to be, trying to see yourself through your ideal self, you don't like how you look, right? So most people leave. Bastion sees how Atreyu would see himself, and you're a coward, right? So he runs away, but he comes back, right?
Yeah.
And then so he conquers that. He moves outward. And then after all that, he's lost, and he has to deal with what's inside. That's the grief. That's him confronting his father. That's the rock biter. And then there's a whole, like, give me a Moonchild if I'm getting too deep. But the Orin is an Ouroboros. It's this cycle.
Snake devouring itself. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows that symbol. It's the snake devouring itself. It's destruction and creation, both at the same time. It's the recycling
It's
symbol.
cat dog.
It's cat dog.
Now you're speaking my language.
It's this.
There you go.
It's the Tao. It's destruction and creation.
We're gonna get copyright.
But so it's order and chaos. It's Fantasia and the nothing, right? And out of chaos, through sheer will, there can be order. You can create order out of chaos. That's the seed that she gives him in the end. In being that there is order, in being that there is Fantasia, there is darkness. The darkness, the disorder is entropy, right? It's chaos. There's a reason that Gmork isn't the nothing. He works for the person behind the nothing, or the leader behind the nothing, or what the force behind the nothing. He's malevolence. He's evil. Right? And so the nothing took his mother, but there is also evil in his life. He's got bullies. He's got people who attack him for being weak, for not being heroic. And so there's this constant rebirth. He has to choose to be an agent in his own life and choose to try to be the hero.
Yes.
Right?
But he's got to clean his room first.
He's got 186 books in there.
Yeah.
He's got to find somewhere to put
186.
them.
I think that's actually so much more eloquently put. You just did. I would say what I like so much. When the question
Matt's like, nah.
wrong.
About a
Throw that
kid
in the
reading a
trash.
book and a dragon
Go
flying
rewatch
around.
it.
That's all.
You got all that wrong.
No, so kind of the reason I brought it up with Aaron earlier was like these moments of kind of the explicit imagination and whatever, that Fantasia has no boundaries and expands or whatever. I actually loved that, and while you're drawing parallels, we can draw parallels to the Empress, Rockbiter, whatever. They didn't overdo it. They didn't overdo like,
Right.
this is you overcoming your mom, or
Exactly.
this is. They never did
It's
that.
not on the nose.
This
right?
was this was
open wide.
It's such a universal. It's such a. it's such a universal message
eat your soup.
of each thing of each moment you just talked about that builds your yin and yang that you were describing. That he leaves this experience that that is so much in his own head, just equipped to handle all the adversity. Yeah, and so he feels it's like this confidence now to go back to return to the real world and like manage it in a much like more confidence.
Better way to say that. Right? To be he's the hero in his own story.
Yeah,
he has to take up the mantle of being his own hero.
What's so great is they have this amazing shot where his return to the real world is him riding the dragon from it. I love that. I loved it so much. I wrote what the fuck in my notes, but
hey, whoa,
I loved it. I loved
it. It was a kid show.
It's a kid show.
This is a 16 and up show.
My goodness.
It's not a kid show. Don't say it's a kid show. YouTube, we're not a kid show.
Brought to you by Perrier.
Oh my god. We're shut down 2 times now.
Look how low calories this is.
You're right.
Every July we harvest the calories for Perrier.
I enjoyed it. Maybe because I liked him. Yeah, and I was just on board from there.
No, yeah,
that's an '80s thing.
It came out of nowhere.
You needed it. It's like those kids need their comeuppance.
I had this theory that there were 2 writers and that they were arguing about how to end the movie, and then the executive producers came in and said, "All right, assholes.
We got this dragon for a couple days.
In the next 24 hours, my daughter gets to write the end of this movie." And that was what she came up with.
And that's when the authors threatened to sue.
Yeah. That's right.
Why did not Falkor just eat the bullies?
The author didn't like the ending.
That would have been
I don't
funny.
think he liked the whole movie. I was just making a joke.
Well, okay. I don't. My theory is that he wouldn't. in the book that he probably didn't end up back in wherever they were. Germany. It wasn't Germany. Where were
it was
they?
Germany.
It was Germany, I think.
Was it? There was a dome. It looked like
they were driving on the right side of the road.
Yeah.
Right?
It looked.
Oh, where they
the city
filmed
shots
it, you
are
mean?
in Vancouver.
I don't know. Vancouver, is that what you said?
Yeah, but everything
Okay.
else is Germany.
So it's Vancouver. There was a big dome, and it looked like it. Yeah. It looked like Seattle. Could have been Seattle. There was a Space Needle, I think.
Good Lord, Niles.
Good Lord, Niles. What is this dragon doing again?
Falkor, look out for the Space Needle.
Fraser, there's a dragon.
Maybe I hear the blues are calling. White dragons and lemonade. I don't know why the lemonade, but
Yeah.
It had the right number of syllables.
All right. Any final thoughts before we rate the movie?
I'm a luck dragon.
I would say that I appreciated the metaphor from what I saw. I didn't have as deep of a write up as our new friend here, but
What's a metaphor?
yeah, exactly. But I
What's
liked
a
that
metaphor?
I liked that it was there. It wasn't too on the nose, and it was good entry level sort of like inward thinking for kids.
I feel like Aaron, you need to go first for our rating, because I have a suspicion yours is maybe the lowest.
What gave you that idea?
Turn around.
Last thought, I thought the movie ended quite abruptly. It didn't feel like the story was over for me.
It's never ending, though.
With the Empress, you mean?
It's the first half of the book.
Always leave
There's a
them
whole
wanting.
other half of a book
Right.
I heard.
Which is maybe that's the second part.
Right.
Out,
It's loosely adapted as the second
It's
movie.
once you become an agent in your own life, it's how you. It's what you do with the power.
It's
That's the second half of the book.
So I
because
was-
they continue to wish in the second part.
Right. So far,
Became an agent of evil, Sebastian.
I was not surprised to find out that this is half of the book. So
I just had I wish there was more.
Felt like half a movie.
Snail racing in the second one.
and true, it didn't follow a traditional
Now
movie
that's snail
structure
racing.
in the way I saw it.
Do you know,
but
you
it
know
was
that?
alright.
Do you know the actor who played the little snail writer?
Oh, Deep Roy.
Yeah,
He's
Oompa
he's
Loompas.
the Oompa Loompa. Like,
He's in a ton of.
He's in a
stuff.
lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, he's in.
It's
He
not
was-
his voice though.
Ben, in the Pink Panther Strikes Again, I believe he's one of the assassins in the
my goodness.
Oktoberfest parade. thing.
Can we talk about the child, the Empress?
Sure.
Can we talk about how awesome she is at crying on camera?
Oh my God! Yeah, it's like.
Oh my God! Who didn't believe that?
Cry will make the horse die again.
Right.
Yeah.
I wrote down the director must have a puppy at gunpoint.
Yes.
give me tears.
We're playing Russian roulette. Every
she
time you don't
turns-
cry, add a bullet.
She looks right in the camera. Bastion, please. The whole
Give
world's
me a
coming.
name.
Give me a name.
You have to convince him to save everyone. Your mom's gonna just. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Wow.
And I believed every second of it. She was awesome.
Yeah.
She was worth whatever they paid
And I
her.
believed every second of Treyu's grief when his Artex
man.
Oh,
dies.
that was brutal. That was brutal.
I
talking about the stages
disagree.
of grief.
They had only
Right.
introduced the horse 5 minutes prior. I didn't care about that horse.
He couldn't have a horse and Falkor. And he had to lose the horse far enough before Falkor found him for it to be respectful. It's the amount of time you have to wait.
He should have made
After
the
the
horse a
breakup.
unicorn in the end.
Oh.
That'd have been cool.
Yeah, there was no unicorn.
should have been a unicorn.
There really needed to be a unicorn.
I think that's probably
given
why
that the kid wanted
I think
it.
that's great that there's no unicorn because it doesn't.
Easy there, Ryan Johnson.
Interesting.
That would be too on the nose.
He just threw the horn over
the horn.
over its shoulder.
You wanted a unicorn? Subverted.
It's just one stalk of corn.
Actually, this horse has 2 horns. How do you like that?
Look at this unicorn.
Should use the horn to slay Gamork.
We've got a duo corn. How do you like them apples? I was going to rate the movie, as I
Yeah,
recall.
go ahead,
Okay.
Aaron.
Turn around.
As not bad as I thought this movie was, I enjoyed parts of it.
It's a good start to your rating. It was as not bad as I thought.
It had the same amount of exposure when I was younger as Willow did. I did not like it as much as Willow. As I said, I appreciated the metaphor, but it didn't do a whole lot for me.
Okay.
I would give this movie a 4 out of 10.
Wow. Okay. Kevin, we'll end on you. Ben, what's yours?
So, even though I enjoy Willow more, this is a fun adventure, action adventure. I think, given the depth and richness of the story and all the metaphors,
The lovely
and all,
bouquet of the
the
story.
the layers,
Yes.
yes, and you know,
Very ogre type themes.
yeah. I think this is a 7 because I think this movie is a really. First of all, in '84, the special effects are still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for what they did, it was amazing. The look of it's unique.
For a bunch of krauts, are you kidding? Of
As a
course
kid,
it's impressive.
as a kid, I would rate it lower, but as an adult, like now watching it, like I watched it a few years ago, and I didn't, think anything of it.
Funny, because I probably would have rated it higher years
Yeah,
ago.
but as now, I didn't really pay attention to how deep it was. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a very now execution. There's a few little things that I don't like, but I think because
Yeah.
the story is such a good story,
That's the thing. I think
I
it
think that's why it's
survives
a
on
7.
its like depth.
yeah.
I gave it a 7 also.
Oh,
This is one of
That's
my
odd.
higher ones we've been doing
That's
for
odd.
this kind of genre. So for everything we've talked about, I saw the additional line that when he goes to see the kind of alchemist scientist guys right before that Sphinx
Yeah.
thing, which I loved that whole
How does
sequence.
that
but
telescope work?
he gives I don't understand.
I'm still trying to figure out how magnets work.
Yeah, he gives him
it's my
he gives him something, and
Is
it's
it-
like it has to hurt to heal. And I just very much appreciated that very specific line.
This
and
is Bactine.
I think the whole movie it had moments like that. Like I said, I wish Bastian was worked in as like himself versus at the end of the movie he was worked in as the kid in the story a little bit more. But overall, I can deal with it. Hey, we had the same score.
I'm
jerk.
working in.
Okay. All right, Kevin, bring us home.
So I have some gripes. With the movie.
What's
but-
eating Gilbert's gripes?
What?
Well done.
What's getting Gilbert's gripes? Like little things that I wouldn't. So this movie aged very well with me. So I would have rated it higher when I was a kid. I would have rated it lower in my 20s, and I'm back to rating it higher. My kids are going to watch this movie. I'm going to talk to them
Bell
about.
curve, eh?
All right. So I'm back in that.
Just
portion
show
of my
them your
life.
drawing when you watch it.
I can talk to them about it. So I'm always looking for things to share with my kids that we can talk about. Like I'm doing Lord of the Rings with my kids right now.
Oh no!
We did Harry Potter, which is a great platform to talk about a lot of other things because these kids grow up during those movies and they deal with different parts of their lives. So
Like puberty.
Years ago, I would have rated this movie like an 8, and then like when I was 20 in my 20s, I'd have rated this movie like a 6. It's dated, right? Throw it in the trash, right? We got better CGI now, and they can tell the story better. They should just remake it. I'm wiser than that now. I'm back. I would say a 7. I'm back to a 7.
Wow.
It would be an 8 if I could rewrite that scene with his father. If the bookstore owner had hit, no one can fight a damn thing in this bookstore. They're just stacked on tables and right, just little things that are.
They're actually all blank except for the one.
But I kind of like that charm. Though. I kind of like that though because
It shows he cares.
He has no interest in selling books.
But is he
Get
really
a Dewey Decimal System.
But is it really a bookstore?
No, he's smiling at the end.
Yeah, is it really
In
a
the
bookstore?
second
He's
movie,
magic.
He magically disappears in the second movie.
Does he?
Right?
Knew
I
it.
don't know.
Right. The bookstore's
Knew
empty.
it.
It's empty.
Right.
So maybe that's the whole thing.
Maybe he
that's
just
why.
didn't pay his property tax.
So he's smiling. He's the trickster, right? Nothing's in the movie or the book by accident. He's the trickster.
Even
right?
like the little note that they said, like, "I'll bring your book back."
He never brings the
I'll
book
return
back.
your-
Well, there was more to his story. It
He's
just never
riding a
ended.
dragon. He left the book behind.
Does he bring
Where's
the book back in the sequel?
Right there. Where's the book?
I think he buys the
So-
I think he brings it back and buys a soft cover,
I hate the ending.
the paperback.
So
Didn't like the very ending.
Sorry,
Okay,
some of the
7.
pages are stuck together.
Okay, this interesting. So you liked Willow better, Aaron?
Yeah.
You know my feelings about Willow.
Look, I appreciate good metaphor, but the rest of it didn't do a whole lot for me.
We go ahead, finish your thought.
Well, you
Sorry.
know my rating scale. 4 is not a bad rating.
No, believe me, I understand the harsh ratings. So
Aaron, why
it's
can't
a
you
bell
think
curve.
exactly
It's-
like me?
Right.
90% of the time I do.
all right, the
myself.
Launchpad podcast guys, Ben, who you know, one of them pretty well. They commented on one of our Instagram things about how like this movie just did not hold up for them and their childhood ruined. I don't know if they're being facetious or if they were serious or not. It seemed like they were being serious. But
Are you guys out there being faceted?
I imagine people have like kind of maybe
strong
like your
reactions.
reaction in the when you were 20 is
Yeah.
actually how just people remember
because-
it. So
Yeah.
this one really held up for me though. I was genuinely surprised how much I liked all the way through. Like
And all
the way over again.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
I mean, my criticisms do not extend into it being dated, so I don't agree
It
with
was
that
always
either.
a movie that we made fun of as kids.
Really?
You know, like
Because it was fantasy, right?
Well, yeah, and also
We
like,
aged out
it's
of
so
fantasy.
Stupid, never is so dumb.
Right, we put
You
away
know,
our cowboy
and
toys.
I-
and
Where's
started
his
playing
sword?
with
And I think
space
there's
toys.
also and I also think there's a level of like it's not cool to like NeverEnding Story.
Right.
You know,
I want to talk about this idea of fantasy movies in more depth at the end of the month when we finish this whole run. I don't know if have we picked a movie for next week yet?
Are we doing Conan?
Well, because you just said it, let's do it.
All
Because
right.
that was on the list.
is
so
it on Netflix?
Would you get off your
Get
duff to
over
do
it.
something for once?
We're gonna do Conan next week.
Flesh.
Get on Amazon Prime. Use that X-ray. All the actors and all the. That's a great tool.
Ah, yes. I've
The
used
what?
that a couple times. It's a little overlay of the movie
we'll
that
talk
shows you
later.
facts and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's like pop-up video. Remember that?
Wow,
On demand because it's your finger.
Yeah.
that's amazing.
All right, so next week we'll do Conan, and then I think we got one more fantasy week after
Right.
that, and then we're gonna be doing a lot of Oscar stuff, and we're finishing up the movie draft game we did at the start of last year. We got to hold.
Yes, I'll be winning. I know.
Yeah, hold off your excitement, Aaron, until we get closer. But in a couple weeks we'll be updating on that. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on.
Can I
This
ask
was
Kevin a question
really
before
great.
we leave?
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
Kevin, given your demonstrated aptness with the metaphor, have you seen Mother? What did you think about it?
I didn't see Mother.
I recommend that you watch it and then
saw-
write us up a little post.
I
Say what
am
you
Mother.
think.
I didn't see Mother. But
Kevin, you're
Uh,
what the French call laissez compétent.
You little jerk.
Look what you did, you little jerk. You rated the movie a 7.
I will accept your homework assignment.
All right,
All right,
I'll
thank
report
you.
back. All right, until next week. Thanks.
I'm gonna make our podcast disappear.